And we are live. You are watching another episode of the Detective Diaries. I am your host, Greg Lawson. This is where we interview strange and interesting people I find along my paranormal journey. The last show, we talked with Jeff Belanger. He's a paranormal explorer, researcher, writer for Ghost Adventures, host for 30 Odd Minutes, and host for the Speakeasy, and also the podcast called New England Legends. If you've never checked it out, New England Legends podcast is fantastic. He also has New England Legends TV show on PBS. Next time, we're going to be talking synchronicities with Ashley Knibb from the United Kingdom. I met Ashley, God, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or so. And I've kind of kept up with his work. He is really, really good. He's got a really great blog. If you want to look at a lot of serious research, that's a man to look at. Today, we're going to be talking with Karen Dahlman. She is an expert of Ouija, talking boards. She is part of the Talking Board Historical Society. And anyway, I need to shut up and bring her in here, and let's talk talking boards. Hey. Uh-oh. Yeah. You're
It looks like I was muted, huh?
There it goes. Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm back at you. Listen, you got a lot of great people in your room right now. I know these people.
Well, that was incredible, you coming out there. I thought maybe we were supposed to be on the board, like deciphering what you were saying or something.
Actually, I was talking to you right here on this, and you just couldn't hear me.
Hey, seriously, you've been on a lot of big shows and done a lot of really cool stuff, and I really appreciate you coming in to this little talk, and hopefully going to share some stuff with us that will lighten up some people that have real phobias and concerns about Ouija, right?
Yeah, so, that's natural.
Yeah. So for those of you that are watching, if you can go down and comment where you're watching from, that's really cool. If you could like and share this broadcast, you would not believe how much that helps me. It really does. It gets it out there, and it's crazy the amount of hits I'll get if I can get people to share. So let's get straight into it. Why don't we?
Alrighty.
Where did we meet? Do you remember did we meet at MI Paracon?
We did. We did real briefly. We were there with the Talking Board Historical Society. We were doing our room, and you had a stall, and I came by and said hello. Yeah, there you go. That's where we met. That was last year, 2019, right? What year is it? Yeah.
Something like that.
I know. It was so much fun. Wasn't it a blast going there?
And I'm sorry I only had that one photo, because the whole room, you guys that are tuning in watching, the whole room, all the walls were just nothing but boards. It was amazing.
Yeah, we had so many cool boards there from every year. But that table you just showed are some of the most oldest, priceless kinds of boards there that we really had in our watching key. They're like one of a kinds, or we only found a few of them in the world that are left. Some of the, like, for example, the one on the far, I think, left of your screen, the one that has no Ouija at the top, that one is the oldest board, the prototype to the Ouija board. And these boards were given to us from the chairman of the board, Robert Murch. This is from his collection, these boards right here. But they're some of the most rarest and best shape of these old boards you're going to find.
Yeah, that's amazing. Robert is such a great guy. Before he kind of, got out of the limelight there for a while, got to have spaghetti dinner with him and Brad Blair over at Brad Blair's house. And everybody's partners and the kid and everything, or also referred to as the boy. And we had such a good time.
Nice.
It was awesome. I really miss seeing him around.
We all do. And you guys all know Robert's been going through his back surgery and recovery from it. And it's been a long process, but you guys will see him out and about soon. Fingers crossed.
So we got some. We got a whole bunch of comments here. Let me go down some of these comments real quick. Let's see. Nadine says hi. Hey, Nadine. Thanks for watching. We got. Let's see. Oh, hey, look at that.
Woohoo!
MJ's awake. I don't know what time. What time is it over there?
Oh my God, 8 hours later than me. So it's like 12. It's midnight where she is.
It's got to be midnight over there. MJ, thank you so much for watching, MJ. Hopefully, we're going to see you soon. Right. But let's see. Who else we got here? We got Shiloh on. We got. Oh, hey, look at this. Sarah from Wales.
Yay. I'm telling you, there's a lot of UK people in the room. I mean, there's Carl there. Carl Hutchinson's in there too. He's from the UK. A lot of people are. Yeah.
But this woman is watching on her phone as she's driving home. Everybody wish her
be safe.
Yeah.
I love it.
So let's see who else we got. Oh, we got Kat Ward. She's all the way from Australia.
Hi, Kat.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. So let's just go ahead and get into it. And I'd like to throw this one up first, and let's talk about these pictures here.
Oh, right. Now this is the Helen Peters event. What happened was it was the fall of 2018. What we did was we found one of the, I guess you would call her the founder of the board, along with some gentlemen. They were business people. Her name was Miss Helen Peters Noseworthy, and she was buried in a plot in Denver. Robert Merchant covered this and found the family, and they didn't have the money to pay for a plot. There was actually 7 people buried there, but only 3 people had their name on a stone, a very small stone on the ground. So we reached out to the family, raised a lot of money, and thank you everybody here who has bought our merchandise over the years or donated to us, because that is what made it possible for us to be able to put this gravestone in. And it's huge, as you can see. And now it has everybody's name that's buried in that same plot, and her name's on there at the very top, Miss Helen Peters Nosworthy. Again, she was the one woman involved with this group of businessmen that actually helped create the Ouija board. Now, I'm holding in that picture her board. That is her board. It belongs now to Robert Murch, but that is her board. And you guys, a cool story about this. It spent some time in the UK. Because her family went back and forth over to the UK from the United States. So it's kind of a neat story. And that's a picture of her right near me, and also near the gravestone on the ground, and also next to the board. That's a picture of what she looked like when she was probably in this phase of designing this board and helping them with getting the name of the board. So the cool thing about the Talking Board Historical Society, that's them on the right side. We're all together. The cool thing is that we really try to educate the public, as well as preserve and uncover the history, the rich history to talking boards, not just the Ouija board, but all talking boards, although the Ouija is probably one of our favorites. And we give you the facts about it and who used the board and why do they use it and who created it and where it is today. And that is really what our mission is. And we're also a nonprofit organization. So thank you, everyone, for donating to help put this stone in.
Yeah, this is when Robert showed us all of that. That was an absolutely amazing story to me. Just because, people talk a lot about things being unfair nowadays and how unfair things are. Yeah. She basically, can I say that they kind of stole it from her?
Let me say this. That's a good way of putting it. What happened was she was kind of discounted from history. Nobody knew there was a woman involved. All the men got credit. That's what it was like in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It wasn't until they found a series of letters and then Robert dug all this up and put the pieces together to find out there was this woman involved, heavily involved, to the fact that Greg, the story goes, her family tells the story, that she went along with Elijah Bond, the patent attorney hired by the Kenner Novelty Company to go get it patented, at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Well, what happened was they kept going after each agent, like each patent officer kept coming out. They said, no. Finally, the last guy came out. He's like the supervisor and says, okay, you don't know me. I don't know you. And if that thing can spell out my name, you'll get your patent. Well, guess what happened? That's how the story goes. So it's really neat. And so she was instrumental also at sitting at the board when they were asking the board, the spirits or energies that be, what should we call you? And it's spelled out Ouija. So she was. They considered her a gifted psychic, and to this day we still do too.
That's pretty cool. So I have to do this. We have to talk about this.
Bring it on.
I'm concerned that you would actually put the fate of human beings, and tip the balance by creating a Ouija board that could call Cthulhu from hell. And so let me, for those of you, look at that.
Huge.
What were you thinking? What's wrong with you?
That is the brainchild of Rick Mortis Schreck. He is our VP of the Talking Board Historical Society. He made this by himself, piece by piece by piece, along with his wife and his daughters. And then we when he brought it out there, we all joined. All the Talking Board members came out to help put it together. That was the very first time it was ever assembled. And guess what? It fit together perfectly. I mean, Rick is a talented artist. And our group has a lot of artists actually in it, the Talking Board Historical Society. But Rick wanted to bring this. This is his dream come to fruition, and he wanted to bring this as part of his gift to the Talking Board Historical Society so we could help him do it. But he really built that thing himself. We launched it in Salem, Massachusetts over a weekend. It was supposed to be up for only a day, but we ended up having it over about a day and a half. And let me tell you what, Greg, we put that board together in the most inclement weather. It was a nor'easter. It rained, it was windy, it was cold, but we persevered. And there we are in our rain jackets and our hats, and it was so cold and rainy that day. That's Kelvin Von Crush, another director. He's one of the founding members of the Talking Board Historical Society, and a lot of people in the UK met him last year at Sage Paracon, and I was also there as well. But there we are, just messing around, putting the board together, and then the day on the right side, you see John Kozak on the left, who is the Talking Board Historical Society treasurer, Rick Mortis Schreck, Calvin, and myself, and we're just standing there by the giant planchette. That planchette is 15 feet long. It was actually put on casters, bowling balls, or steel balls. It could really roll around. It really did work. Yeah.
That's freaking crazy. Yeah.
Listen, we go big or we go home. Big bad.
Well, yeah, and you did do that. That's for sure. And hey, I got my first. So Amanda, she had no idea there's so much legality and history with this board, which that's exactly why I brought you, the expert, on here. Is I have friends of mine all the time. They're like, Paranormal Detective, what do you do? I mean, what is that all about? And I start talking to them about it, and they're, immediately demons and evil spirits and stuff. And what about Ouija and stuff like that? I have a friend of mine, Deneen Mitchell from high school. She just messaged me. We had one of those boards when she was a small child, she says. Okay. And my siblings and I contacted a dead soldier. It was immediately thrown away after that.
Oh, it's too bad. Well, you usually when you start using this board, you do work in the realm, what I call the dead zone, where you will reach the ones that are in the astral plane, the deceased people that are maybe stuck or are not ready to move forward. But you can also use this tool, as I call it, my great cosmic phone. I reach all kinds of sentient beings with this tool. It's not just for the dead anymore. It's for many, many things. I have a few boards around me. This board right here is my first board ever. I got it from Santa Claus, December 25th, 1973. And then I have probably the least amount of boards of everybody in the Talking Board Historical Society. I have a mere 50 plus. Everybody else has hundreds. Bob Murch has over 1,000.
I have so wanted to go and look at his collection. Just
it's amazing. I've seen his museum. It's crazy. As you saw, a lot of those boards that were there at last year at Michigan Paracon were from Bob's collection, by the way.
Oh yeah. That's cool. That's going to be cool. Let's see what else we got here. Lenore Brady is a 911 dispatcher, and she says she needs one at dispatch.
Listen, I've consulted the board on a few things, and it can work. That's what she's saying. Sage Paracon, you guys. If you haven't been yet, I know there's Sage in the United States, and Greg and I are going to be there together in May this next year coming up, 2021. But you guys, if you can go to Sage, I know it's going to be in the summer next year. Oh my gosh, the one in UK, go. Go.
It's going to be amazing for folks that actually have watched these shows and everything, I try to encourage them. If you want to know what we do, you got to go to an event. And if you're going to go to an event, Sage is a pretty good one, or Michigan.
Yeah, those are my two favorite. Just saying.
Right. Yeah, mine too. All right.
Right.
So I want to get straight into the controversy. I see that there's ways that you trick people into messing with these demon boards by disguising them as like, things that you can put your coffee in. What is that?
Okay, this is a board from the 1940s. Haskellite made it. And this is a board they actually used to serve. You could serve hors d'oeuvres, aperitifs, cocktails, appetizers, whatever you want to put on there. I just put some tea on there to show you how it was used. And seriously, you guys, like the board for this example, they would bring it out after dinner into the parlor and people would gather around and use it. It was entertainment for them, especially in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. This was normal to do this.
Right. Because everybody wasn't watching TV and doing all the, on your phone and everything. And that's basically,
this was the entertainment there. That right there is your social media.
That's right. People actually talked to each other and then, yeah. But I always find it funny. I went to a UFO conference in Roswell a few years ago, and I went to a seminar called Child Indoctrination to the Alien Presence or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so what they were referring to is all the TV shows, the comic books, just all that sort of stuff that had something to do with outer space and aliens coming and basically just inculcating indoctrination into the acceptance of this. And that's where I go with my next board here.
Oh, look at this, you guys. Yeah. Now this one came out. This had a very controversial past. It came out, was only around for several years because people wrote, it was a group of religious zealots who wrote in and said, this is bad for little girls to have, or because that's what it was catering to, obviously, the pink and the little, cute little carrying attaché case. And it came with a set of cards that you could ask. It gave you like pre-questions that you can, already written questions you could ask if you didn't know what to ask the board. Well, you're not asking the board anything really, but we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, this came out, and what happened was they wrote in and said, you got to discontinue this board. Well, back then it was Hasbro, and so Hasbro said, hey, no problems. They brought out the glow-in-the-dark board next, which was very enticing now to both little boys and girls. That's what happens.
Right. So I always thought that was funny that. So where does the demon stuff come from? Where is this stigma that's put on this piece of wood or cardboard and planchette, and what's that all about?
Well, you have to step back before we get into Hollywood, and we have to say humankind is always very interested in understanding from whence they came. What happens when you die? Where did you come from? Is there such a thing as the afterlife? Does it exist? And when you have things that can't be pinpointed and explained and categorized by science, and it never will be, I really believe it probably never will be, at least in our lifetimes, that we tend to look to things that are mysterious with our own folklore, the filters of our own superstitions and lore and legends, and we create our own mythologies around it. Gene Orlando, who is also a founder of the Talking Board Historical Society, calls them Ouija-sticians. I did a big presentation on this in the UK last year. And that's what happens. We start projecting our own fears, our own desires, our thoughts upon this silly little, right here is compressed particle board tool. That's all it is. It has no hidden agenda or evil demons inside of it. But because people were always curious and excited and enticed and stimulated and titillated by this device, it gets them thinking and wondering, and it also brings focus on their fears as well, that Hollywood was able to take advantage of that. And that's I got to say, my hat's off to them, although I'm going to keep my hat on. My hat's off to them because they took something that was so popular within the human psyche at this time. Think about it here, Greg. So it was in 1966 when William Fuld sold the rights of Ouija to Parker Brothers. And now Hasbro has it. But when Parker Brothers had it, when they first bought it, after they had it for a year, it outsold their most popular game at the time, which was Monopoly. And so there you go. So here we got 1973, The Exorcist movie comes out. Although the book was written in 71, they definitely played upon this idea and they ran with it and they really made it more scary probably than it really, really was or needed to be. But then there were always movies about it because they knew that a popular device back then it still is marketed as a game and sold as a game, that they'd say, how can this be a game when you can speak to the dead? A lot of institutions and religious groups tell us you can't do this. You should not be able to do this yourself. And right then and there, that's a no-no. So people are going to run with that and use it in their stories. And so, that's what's happened. They kind of took it and ran with it and made it into something even more so than it needs to be. And it's really based on a lot of superstition.
Well, and that makes it that much more fun as far as I'm concerned.
It does.
For those of you who have tuned in before or after the intro, we're talking with Karen Dahlman. She is with the Talking Board Historical Society, and she is an expert with Ouija and talking boards. And speaking of demons, we have a question here. Sarah is asking, she's never used one, but is it true that, you said there's no demon in the board, there's nothing possessing the planchette or anything, but could it bring spirits through that won't leave?
Well, to answer that question, I have to ask you, what are your beliefs? Because it's really whatever you believe is what you're going to receive. It's what you're going to receive on the board. So you have to look at your beliefs first before you use this tool. If you're using it to bring in some kind of tulpa thought forms or what you call a demon or something negative, you're going to attract that to you. Whether it's real or created in your mind, it doesn't matter. You're going to attract that to you. So you have to look at first your own beliefs and what do you harbor within yourself. Is it a bad day? You feel real crummy and crappy and you're just kind of negative and you're going to use the board. Well, that's going to be projected into what you're going to get back. It's like the whole idea of the law of attraction. That sounds so simplistic, but the idea is if you have a negative energy about yourself, even in life, you're going to tend to attract more of that back to you. Everything's going to bug you to that much more level because you're upset already. And so it's like that with the board. It amplifies whatever you're feeling or believing within. So to directly answer your question, Sarah, I'd have to say, do you believe you can attract a demon or something negative? I don't believe I can. And guess what? I haven't. I don't believe it and I don't allow it. When anything goes a little awry, and this is what I say to everybody, if anything using this tool and it feels like went awry and you don't like what you're getting, you stop the connection. You stop the communication. It's simple as that. And I've never had personally, and I've got boards, you guys, not just a few behind me. I got them all over my walls. You can't see them. I have them out all over my, in my dining room, in my living room, my family room, my bedroom. I have them everywhere. Never, ever a problem. Again, it really goes back to my own beliefs and what I want to attract and how I'm going to work and use this tool. I'm the operator of the tool. It's like using a hammer. You can hit your finger or a nail. It's like using a phone. You can get crank calls. You can throw it away. Or it's like using, a gun. You got to have safety in your own sense about yourself when you use these tools.
Right. Yeah. And I've had the opportunity to be in on sessions when the board is used, and there's some pretty amazing things that are going on. We were in Lynn and I we were with Dave Schrader and a bunch of other people over in France last year, and we went to Castle Folgueret. And there they have a room that has all kinds of communication devices. And so, of course, the talking board came out for sure,
Of course.
Yeah. And so that was our go-to. The other time actually was with MJ. It was at Sage at Warwick Castle in Warwickshire, UK. And they were using the board in the same room that Aleister Crowley did some sketchy stuff.
I've heard some stories about that from MJ. Absolutely.
That was a crazy night. People, we were rotating people through, and because the board was so active, everybody just gathered in that room, to heck all the rest of the castle. Everybody just gathered in the bedroom, and it was pretty amazing.
That's nice. We had a really cool experience at Sage. This was 2 years ago when I was there. So it was, I guess, what, 2017, I guess. Am I doing the math right? I guess I don't know what year it is. I mean, I don't know what day it is. It's like every day runs into each other. But I was there the first time I was there, and I was working with Barry Johns, who's a wonderful psychic medium from the UK. We were doing the same thing, working the boards and everybody going through there. Well, this is so cool, Greg. We had a message come through to one group of people that were using it. They go, what does this mean? There's nothing. They left the paper there. They were disappointed. They set it aside. Well, as synchronicity would have it, a new group of people came in, sat down where that piece of paper and the board was, picked it up and said, are you kidding me? This is a joke. How did you know this about my family? How did you know this about my brother? It was specific information, name, stuff, what was going on for the woman that came in later, and they didn't know each other. Spirit works in amazing ways. And so if we can get beyond seeing this tool as something dangerous and evil, if you go, what else can it do? Now, this is what I do with it. I use it to push the boundaries of consciousness, and I use it to communicate with all types of sentient beings. I don't just stay in the dead zone, like I said. That message actually was from more of the afterlife, where if you look at this tool as just nothing but a tool to use to explore consciousness, oh my gosh, the whole world will open up to you with this tool.
Speaking of that, so Suzette asked, she doesn't know the difference between Ouija and talking board.
That's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking that. So Ouija board is a trademark name. If you see the boards behind me here, they all have Ouija on there. And so I have one from Winning Moves, which is back there in the window. I have one over here, which is from William Fold. And this one here is from Parker Brothers. It's whoever owns that or licenses it to use it with their company, like Winning Moves and the window back here, they license it from Hasbro to use that. That's a Ouija board. It has the name Ouija on it and are licensed and allowed to use it. Let me give you an example of a really cool, this is what you would call a spirit or talking board. It's called, if you can see it, I don't know, it's called the Luna board. And so a friend of mine made this, and this would be, again, a spirit or talking board because it doesn't have the name Ouija. They're not licensed to do that. So hers is like a little moth, a Luna moth that had died. She found it and encased it in resin. And this is the planchette. And this board is beautiful. It's a piece of artwork. And so this you would call either a talking board or a spirit board because it's not licensed with the traditional name. I hope that answers your question.
Well, Monica says that she's used boards several times and she has never had a bad experience.
And I bet you anything, she's a positive person and she wanted to just explore. And when you come about it from that place or just open-minded, you're going to have good experiences.
Right. Yeah. So let's take a look at this one.
That's the board right here next to me, which is the one. Yep, that's the one I got, 1973. It's actually that style was made by Parker Brothers in circa 1972. And it lasted for, I guess, a good decade plus. It's still one of the most popular one that people can get. You can still buy this board, you guys, by the way, on eBay or, used places where you find boards. This will be a popular board to find. This would be what it looked like, the one that outsold Monopoly. So it's kind of cool. That's my original board. That's it right there, right next to me. And I love that board because of, it came from Santa Claus. It's magical.
Yeah, right. So let's see. Wes has a good question. Do you find some boards more communicative than others? And what is your favorite board?
And are there boards that are better for different circumstances? First, shout out to Wes. Hey, Wes. So you know what? I say all boards work. But I say, if you're going to use a board, pick one that resonates with you, especially if you're new at this, because if you can lift your energy and a board makes you feel pretty good and you like the way it looks or has a neat history to it or is handed to you from your grandmother's grandmother kind of thing, those are the boards you might want to use because you resonate with it. That's going to work better for you. I will say I can sit down at any board 100% anytime with my partner who I normally work with, and we can make any board work because it's not the board, you guys. What works is you. My abilities to be able to tap into these other dimensions is what I developed over the years. That's what works, not the board. But then again, when you're new at this, get one that you resonate with that you'd like. Personally, for me, I love the Ouija board. So any board that has Ouija on is probably my favorite board. But I got to tell you, gifts like this, I'm so fortunate to be gifted such cool boards like this from friends and people that know me or follow me or something. And I love them all. I love them all. These and all these boards like this, planchettes, I display around my house because to me, it's artwork. And I love boards, all boards. I can't express that enough. So that's why it works for me. And it'll work well for anybody here if you pick a board, again, that you resonate with. But don't limit yourself on a board because, again, it's not that board why it works. This is my permission slip excuse to do this work. All these boards behind me, it becomes my excuse or my pathway. It's nothing more than that. You know, people do automatic writing, or you see people do even psychic readings. They might just scribble and all of a sudden they get messages.
Right.
It's because that becomes the way they transfer their brain into that way of thinking and that way of receiving. It's like an antenna. And I use the board that way too.
So a few years ago when I was at Sage with MJ and Carl and everybody else, we had quite a few boards there. And my wife, Lynn, at that time was really leery of boards. She grew up, in an environment that was pretty kind of a bad thing. And I'm just sitting there and Danny Clark of the Talking Board Historical Society in the UK walked over to me and handed me this board. And I'm going to take you out of here for a minute, but I want people to see it.
Oh, I love it. It's so beautiful.
Right? I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, it's a cat and dog board, but it's a Celtic cat and dog board. And then it has this amazing artwork on the back of it that explains a whole bunch of stuff. Along with the really cool planchette.
Look at that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's so many different boards, and it is truly you could consider it an art form, right?
Oh, it's totally art. So here's a pop quiz for you, Greg, if you're listening. Is that a Ouija board, spirit board, or talking board?
I would say that would be a talking board.
Yes, and talking board and spirit board are kind of synonymous. So yes, there you go. Yeah. Because it has no Ouija on it. So we learned something today.
No Ouija. Now, Amanda's asking a question. So can you connect with a specific person who has passed away or just people that have passed away in general or whoever seems to answer, like demons?
Well, listen, it's what you want to communicate with is what's going to most likely come through, but you have to make the invitation. So if somebody says, I want to speak to my deceased grandmother, she will only come through if she wants to come through. I can't force anybody or make them, but what I do is I put the intention out there along with the person that comes to me and wants to make these contacts. And then that's how they come through. I do a lot of live shows, you guys, where people ask their own questions and get messages directly from the guides. That's ones I usually talk to, the guides, but also from anybody deceased pets, you guys, animals, yes, animals, and also deceased loved ones. And so if they're ready to come through, they'll come through. And I've had many come through, and the ones that can't come through, I have a helper on the other side named Mary Angel. She's my angel, and she comes through and usually brings a message forward for the person who needs to be consoled or release some grief. That happens a lot. That happens a lot because a lot of people just think the board is only for talking to the deceased. I call them the transition because you really never die. You're always alive, whether you're here or in the afterlife. You just switch back, drop this meat suit, as everybody calls it, bag of bones, and vessels and blood and sack, and then you head back to your spirit self. And so when that happens, it's a lot easier to come through and really express yourself with love behind it. Is what they always tell me. They say there's no death, but what we experience is unconditional love on the other side. So yes, if they want to come forward, but I will say this too. Most people who have transitioned, I'm going to say 75, 80%, they're not going to come through a tool like this. They're going to come to you directly, and it's going to be through one of your senses. And the easiest way, you guys, always for anybody who's transitioned, including your pets, is to allow them to come through in your dreams. It's going to be the easiest way. You're less inhibited, and you're kind of in that state of, that altered state of any energies can come through and communicate. So keep that in mind. Yeah,
that's great. So I was going to get a degree in psychology, and part of that was dream interpretation. Some of the classes that I took was, not only on the medical side, the technical side of dream interpretation, but I found it very cathartic and very spiritual. So I think that's a great way to do that. And we've been talking for over 30 minutes. 35 minutes. For those of you who might have just tuned in, you're watching the Detective Diaries. I'm your host, Greg Lawson. We're talking with Karen Dahlman. She is with the Talking Board Historical Society. We're talking Ouija boards. And if you can, go down and you can write comments on where you're watching from. Also, if you write us a short question for Karen, if you have any questions on boards or anything having to do with Ouija, please just go down in the comments and ask the question. Also, if you could like and share this broadcast, it would be awesome for me. Not for anybody else.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Why not support you? That's great. You know, Simon has a question here. And hi, Simon. I know you. Simon's been is it from the UK? And he's been at a lot of the Sage Paracons. You probably met him too, Greg, I'm assume. But this is the deal. He asked, how do you start working with a brand new board? So what I say to people, if there's any kind of technique or ritual or some kind of atmosphere you typically do when you do any kind of spiritual work or any kind of other previous board work, pull that into it. A lot of people like to, when they first get a board, is to consecrate it their own. They might do a prayer over it, an invocation. They may put it out in the moonlight. They may sage it. I may put dirt on it. I've done all those things over the years because I feel like if those things help you raise your vibration and get you into a place where you feel like that's your tool, I mean, these are your tools, you guys, then do that by all means. And I always tell people when they're new, let's say they have a religious background. This is going to sound probably blasphemous to some people, but the truth is when you work with a religion or some kind of spiritual practice, you're trying to reach beyond yourself and have faith for that you can have your prayers answers or you can communicate. We're doing the same thing here too. So for example, I was raised a Catholic. So when I was 8 years old using this tool, when I started, the big thing for me was I brought into some of my ideas of angels as well as doing a prayer, which is now an invocation. And I have a background, I have a master's degree in psychology, and I would bring in what I learned as a therapist, how to set your stage and how to make an open container in which to do my work. And so I brought in some things I learned from Wicca or some things I brought from Native American spirituality. The key is bring in what works for you right now, and you're going to know what that is, and use that, incorporate it into your board session. The idea is, even if it's a new session or a session you just want to get better at using this tool, bring in everything that you've used before. Let's don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Use the old stuff you've done and bring it to the tool. And then that way it's going to make it personal for yourself. That's the key. Make this personal for yourself that has meaning for you, that moves you in here. And then the results you get are going to match more of this energy you have right here. So
I think you just answered Sarah's question. Any advice on where to buy my first board?
Well, Sarah, guess what? You can make your own. You saw this beautiful board that Lauren Morse, the artist, she's in a lot of the groups. If you guys are in those Ouija board groups, she's I think administrator of Ouija board, ! Join that one on Facebook. I'm in there too. A lot of the talking board people are. But listen, you can make your own board. And so what I like to do is just create one on the fly. And you guys in the UK know this, and people that have seen me at other workshops around the country, is that I will use just cardboard. I get cardboard or paper sacks, and I just write numbers and letters on it. And I say, Sarah, you might want to start there. There's 2 examples. Thank you, Greg. Yep. That's a paper sack board, and there's a cardboard board. And I make these, and I use that True Whip, Cool Whip topping. I use a old Pyrex dish or a CD. Now, you guys in the UK know I love my CDs. Those make great planchettes. So this is where you could start. Again, it's not the board that makes it work. It's you. Okay. It's your own ability and allowing yourself to tap into that and then bringing those energies to you. They help. Trust me on this. They help work this. But so any board will work. So if you're going to buy a board, buy one that you really like, that you resonate with. And it could be a talking board, a spirit board. It could be a homemade board or something that makes them, Rick Schreck from the Talking Board Historical Society makes some really cool boards. Lauren Morse is another one. I have at least 10 boards that people have made for me over the years. And of course, I make my paper sack boards. They all work great. So try it there. Try that first before you go out and spend money and maybe to a real, design board for you, or a high end, like a Ouija board. An old one might cost you a little bit of money. I think I have a board that's worth I bought it for $600. It's probably worth more than that now. It's like an 1892 board. So you could spend a lot of money if you want, or you can keep it really inexpensive for you by using your own. It all works.
Cool. So I also have a couple of other question. There's some really good questions coming in here.
I see that.
Yeah. So Kat was talking. I'm looking for the question that she had asked. My thing's jumping around here.
I see it. You want me to read it?
The ideomotor effect. This one. Here we go.
Oh, no, do that one. Okay. So there's two. She asked another question too. Okay. Yeah. Ideomotor effect. Okay. Listen, this is what most people think. And this is what science says, that it's your ideomotor effect, which basically means your brain is controlling the muscle movements in your body that you normally wouldn't consciously be aware of. And so on a subconscious level, you're pushing it yourself. Listen, I'm not opposed to that at all. And I'll tell you why. The messages I get that come through, it doesn't matter. And the messages I get for people that I don't know these people at all, are so pertinent, spot on. Something here is happening with this. And whether it's ideomotor, you want to believe it's my subconscious mind doing it, I'm okay with that, because I do believe part of me using my own abilities to do mediumship or channeling. I do a lot of channeling now off the board, or psychic kind of stuff with this tool. It's really my abilities. Whether it's my subconscious abilities, conscious abilities, ideomotor, doesn't matter. So I'm all for learning about why this tool works. I know what the spirit guides have told me why it works, but I'm willing to look at anything under the sun of explanations. But when you're pretty good at using it, I gotta say I'm very good at using it. just saying. I gotta be honest. I've been doing it 47 years now, and so when things come through that are so spot on, and the messages I get are just crazy cool. There's no way I could have even thought of this stuff myself, or my board partner couldn't have. We know that. We have this discussion all the time. I'm amazed. So how it comes to me, it's like, I don't care about the method I'm using. I don't care if it's the tool or I'm not using the tool. It's what the energies are providing me and what I'm giving back, whether I'm speaking it or using it through the board. That's what matters the most. So you know what? We got to be open to all possibilities here and all explanations for how this tool works, but it really can work. Good.
So have you seen this before where people see specific numbers, and whether that assigns meaning to their communication?
Absolutely, yes. And so a lot of people get random, I shouldn't say random numbers. A lot of people get randomly a lot of numbers that keep repeating themselves. There you go. 11, 11, 12, 12, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, and a whole different variety of them. So I started getting random numbers, it's been going on when I was young, I used to get them, but more prevalently since the early 90s, when I'd get a lot of repeating numbers. And so my thing was that I wanted to find out what that meant to me. And the social media internet was kind of in an infant stage. So I wasn't looking up stuff that way. I might consult a few dream books or some books on numerology and stuff like that. But I really went with what I believe. So what I ask you to do out there, if you're getting repeating numbers, just ask yourself, ask your higher self, say, hey, what does this mean to me? And you're going to go, kind of reminds me that maybe I'm on the right path. It kind of makes me think that I just thought of something I need to pay attention to. Or maybe it's giving me a message from my angels. I mean, there's many reasons to it. So for example, 1111, a lot of people, thank you, Simone. Angel numbers, 444, 333, you're right on that. 1111, things that resonated for me years ago, I heard, was it meant a gate, like a door opening, like a gateway, or a portal to move into. So it tells you you're on the right path. But just because I say that for me doesn't mean the same for you. So the key here, here we go. Let's go back to dream interpretation too. When you have dreams about an apple, doesn't mean it's the forbidden fruit. Although for you, it might mean that. For me, it might mean I take great delight in giving an apple to my teacher. It meant rewarding somebody. So start looking at your symbols and the numbers that you get in that way, a personal way. Go ahead and look online and see what they say. And you might go, that doesn't resonate for me. But that resonates. And then start developing your own kind of scripture, your own little book of codes, if you will, that you can use to decode the synchronicities and these symbols and signs that come to you within your life. It's a great way of awakening to your connectivity with everything else in the universe. That's what those numbers and those things are about for you.
Yeah, I've talked to so many different people, just from my background, I have a real wide berth of knowledge, not a real narrow berth, but a really wide berth.
I noticed that, Greg.
And the funny thing is because I want to know. I'm interested in all these things, and it seems like to me that people connect with certain things, and they go along that line, and whatever that is kind of works for them. So
Exactly, you guys. Trust yourself. That's the key. And even things you're hearing from me today, trust yourself. Whenever you use these tools, whether it's this, the I Ching, the ruins, the dowsing rods, pendulum, et cetera, trust yourself with this. I'm just going to give you some ideas and some basic guidelines, what I know have helped me, and I guess many others throughout the time I've been doing this and teaching people. But you're going to find your own things that are going to work for you just really well, and trust that. And also, you're going to have your own way of using this tool. You can follow some ideas, and I share on my YouTube channel, my website, all kinds of ways, my books, how to use this tool. But these are just simple suggestions. You guys, there really are no real hardcore rules for the board. I know everybody wants to say there are, but there really aren't. If you could throw any rules out there, I'd say get yourself in a great frame of mind. Make sure you got no distractions going on. You set your ambiance, your space to raise your vibration. You be kind. Generosity and kindness and gratitude goes a long ways in all worlds.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. It goes a long ways everywhere.
Everywhere. It doesn't matter what realm or dimension you're in. Listen, I talked to so many beings from other dimensions too, you guys, cryptids, etc., extraterrestrials. They all appreciate that kindness. And when I come to a place of gratitude and appreciation and patience, you guys, the message is so much better. So that's all I say. And then, when you're done, say goodbye. Like today, we will end this. We'll say goodbye to you guys. Thank you for joining us. I would be on a phone and say hello, goodbye. Okay, bye-bye. Don't worry about if your planchette goes to goodbye, okay? That's another superstition. Doesn't mean your board's not closed out. It just means your spirits don't want to go to goodbye. I've had a lot of energies come through that will spell out bye, bye-bye, or goodbye, or just stop. Now, when my guides come through, the ones you guys, if you watch my shows, you'll see these are the beings I talk to. They just stop right here with the planchette. That's how I know they're done. And I just say, okay, goodbye. Thank you so much. We appreciate your talk. Blah, 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 blah. Bye. That's it. Lift my fingers. It's over. That's my closing. That's how I end it. Just try not to get caught up in all these silly little superstitions you'll hear all over the internet. I mean, if they work for you, go for it. But do you need them? No. That's a hard no.
Here's another board. This is kind of cool. Talking board, right?
Oh, that's my oldest. That's what the original looked like, you guys, after it got stamped with Ouija. That's like a circa 1892-93 board. I did bring this to the UK. I brought it to some of my shows I do. Sometimes I don't. I'm worried about losing it. That is the original paddle. That one was put out originally. That's how the board came with a planchette or indicator that looked like a ping pong paddle. You can play ping pong with it. So that's what that looks like. That's an old one right there, you guys. And the shape of it's okay, but it's a collector's item for sure.
And was that made by a factory, or was that made just by a person? Or do you know?
It looks like just spray paint, right? Like a person. Right. Well, that's how they made it. That's back how they produced it. They had their stencils, spray it, paint it over it, varnish it. That was it. That was produced in one of the factories out there in when they first were made out in Baltimore.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Speaking of where they were first made and that sort of thing, isn't there a historical plaque in a 7-Eleven store someplace?
We put that up in 2015. Absolutely. That was done during WouijaCon 2015. It is one of the original manufacturing plants for Ouija in Baltimore. So thank you for bringing that up. It's really clever. You can go there and see it yourself. It's neat. It's neat that they let us do that.
It's in a 7-Eleven, right?
Oh, it's in a 7-Eleven. That was part of the original manufacturing plant. Go figure.
Yeah, you can actually go online. You can Google that. Yes. I think there's some photographs there. This is of the pictures that you sent to me. This is my favorite.
Oh, now I'll tell you why I sent that Hasco Mystic board is because, you find these boards. This is my rescue board. Because you find these boards, and look, somebody used it as a cutting board. They used it to put their drinks on. I mean, they didn't care. It got shredded on the edges. They didn't care what it became, and because I guess they didn't really care about it. But guess what? I'm so glad I rescued it because it's in my collection, and it's a talking piece. They're like, why would you like that? It's all trashy. I go, it's not trashy. It's artwork. It's beautiful. It has a story to it. I don't know the story, but there's a story here.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't appreciated as I appreciate them, but it is now. It's hanging up. I can see it right over there. It's hanging over there.
That's what I like. I like when something has a good history behind it, even if you don't know what it is.
Well, think about it. I mean, we're tattered and torn through life too, right? We all have our skeletons in the closet, things that have happened, trials and tribulations. And to want to have a board that's not perfect, it's like saying you accept the imperfection in yourself and in people and in boards.
Right. Speaking of imperfection in people,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
MJ and Duncan came to visit us. That's us. It's down at the Soda
Texas.
Pop.
Yes, Texas. It's
Think
you know who that is. That's I know where it is. I take pictures there too. It's Brandon Hodge, who is one of the founding members also of the Talking Board Historical Society. That is his shop in Austin, Texas. He
Yeah,
has all kinds of boards. Did you guys buy a board there from him?
we didn't buy a board, but we bought a lot of candy there.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. You guys go to a store and say that we sent you there. He knows us, and it's a fantastic store. In the back, he has like old spirit trumpets, old spirit communication devices, and a wall of Ouija. And then in front, he has like the best selection, you guys, of candy and soda pop and stuff from all over.
That is an absolute fact. And here's another one.
Well, hey, that's the UK people. Yeah, yay. Look at that.
And believe it or not, this picture was taken how long ago?
This is just last year.
Oh, okay. I thought it might have been long. Well, anyway, as far as I know, everybody in that picture is still alive. So it can't be that dangerous.
Yes, you guys. And by the way, they're all wearing a talking board shirt like we're wearing today. And and that collection right there, a lot of those boards, I think most of those boards Kelvin brought. I brought a few myself. I'm holding one of the boards I brought, and Kelvin in the back's holding my board. And then you guys are holding a bunch from Kelvin's collection. I think I see another board that might have been mine. But we were just trying to, we always try to bring boards wherever we go to show you a variety of what they look like. And then and when you guys support us like you did there and buy our shirts, thank you guys again so much. It allows us to do these cool things. Yes. Thank you, Greg. Like putting those plaques up, those gravestones and markers, doing these events, WouijaCon. That is why we do what we do. And also to help you understand more about this incredible device that has such a rich history to it.
It is a great history. It's a really interesting history. It's twisted. It's formative. It created social constructs of, there was that, you see the picture, you know what I'm talking about, where the man and the woman, or the young man and the young woman, are playing Ouija on their knees. They have the board on their knees.
No, you're not. Okay, not Norman Rockwell. That's another one where the guy's looking at her breast.
Yeah,
that's a different one. But on the knees is an older one, right? Black and white.
Right, and they're sitting very close together, and that was another one of the taboos. Was like in the 1920s, 30s, or 1910s, I guess. Young people were supposed to be supervised. Well, these two are sitting in the parlor, and everything's going to be fine if they're sitting in the parlor, and then they're playing Ouija. So they have the board on their knees, and they're very close to one another while they're playing it. Yeah. So,
they're able to, bypass certain standards at the time. And my board, this one right here, again, circuits 1972. On the back of the box of the board, it says, preferably sit across from a male, female, preferably, different sexes, it should say. So I thought when I got it, and I was only a young kid, I thought, oh my gosh, I got to do it with a guy. Well, I'll get my brother. I wrote my brother into using it with me. But again, I think that was really to start pushing the boundaries of social mores. And so you're absolutely right about that, Greg, what you're saying. In those pictures, it shows it.
Yeah. It was, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, that's probably what a lot of young men would want to use it for.
And to this day too, trust me.
Right?
Trust me. It's the women are all serious about it, right? And the guys are like, well, I just get a chance to get closer to her.
Hey, whatever, right?
Right, whatever works.
We got a bunch of comments coming in here. So Kat's got some science questions. If afterwards we'll come back into these the comments, and we'll answer a lot of the comments just because we weren't able to get to all of them. Let's see what else here. Hopefully, MJ was saying that she's looking forward to having merch. I really hope so. Hey, have you talked to him lately?
We're hopeful about that. Absolutely. I know he is too.
Have you talked to him lately?
Oh, yeah, I did. I just talked to him just the other day.
Okay. Well, he
Yeah.
won't call me back. So
Okay, well, just so you guys know, okay, so he's in and out. He's in and out of like he's good days and bad days. Recovering from this drastic of a surgery he had. I think you all know if you've talked to him or even heard his texts or his emails or he'll post on Facebook. Everybody, be patient with him. It's really hard for him to respond, even to us sometimes as well. We'll talk because we have some things going on or something we're working on or something, which is very different because it's usually business oriented or just to say hello because we haven't talked in a while. But just be patient with him. It's a process. I'm just gonna say that.
yeah, it's he's really, really been through a lot.
Yes.
So, hey, tell everybody where they can find you and also what's coming up for you. In any events. I mean, obviously this year, most events have been canceled.
True.
What do you got going on?
Well, I did have Michigan Paracon going on, and I had Sage Paracon going on. So all those have been just postponed. They're pushed out. That's fine. Okay. Just recently, I got back from filming with Gaia for their show called Beyond Belief. That should be released. They told me probably in a few months, 2 or 3 months. And if you want to know when it's released and actually watch it for free, because typically you watch Gaia, you have to pay for it, a subscription. Make sure you go to my website, Karen A. Dahlman, put the A in there. .com, and I know he's posted. There it is, right there. Thank you, Greg. You can join my newsletter, and you're going to know because I'm going to send out the link. You're going to be able to watch it for free, okay? And so that just happened, and it'll come out in 2 months, I think. I'm doing a bunch of shows like Greg's and other shows. Go to my website, look under events or appearances. You'll see other shows I'm doing that are more like these kind of shows right now, since we're not really getting in person too much. I'm also working on a book. I've told you guys about this book. We're still working on it. It's about pushing the boundaries of consciousness with this tool and without the tool. So don't worry if you don't like a Ouija board. We'll show you how to do it without the board, how to make these connections. My 3 books.
There you go. That's
here we go. Let's plug these books. Okay, we got the Spirit of Creativity. This one came out first, 2012. It's how to create a creative life for yourself, meaning how to use and tap into source or all that is and start manifesting more of your desires. It's not about being an artist. It's about just being a creative being that you're meant to be.
Show the cover again. It was kind of
absolutely. You guys, you can find these on my website if you want autographed copy. Cool. Or just look under Karen A. Dahlman on Amazon. You can get them all there. They're in Kindle as well. My next book that came out, and by the way, I dog tag them all because there's such cool stories, and I want to reference them quickly when I do interviews. This one came out in 2013. It's probably the book that kind of put me on the map, that brought me onto Coast to Coast and other shows like I'm on right now or Gaia. This one talks about my 40-year odyssey using this tool, the do's and don'ts, the trials and tribulations. If you want to learn to use this board, this would be your go-to manual. People write to me and tell me that. I didn't make that up. I just wanted to tell my story. And then my other book that came out in 2015, was released at WouijaCon. It's called The Spirit of Alchemy. This is teaching you how to make these connections now with the board, with synchronicity, talking about the alchemical process of transforming yourself so you can open up to your greatest self and you can start making these connections with your higher self and with source wisdom. It gives you everything I've done to this day and then some. In fact, this book right here was, I would say, maybe 75% channeled work. Then my stories are woven into it and other stories, experiences. So my guides, when they work with me, they give me all this channel information. It comes through dreams. It comes through automatic writing. It comes through the board, and it comes through voice speaking now too. And that's in that book. The next book I'm working on is about board work, but really more about how to do this without it. So it's pretty cool stuff.
Well, the fun thing about that is hopefully people will pick up your books, and I'm going to have Ashley Nibb on the next show, and we're going to be talking specifically about synchronicities. And, he's very... he does research the way I want to do research. I just don't have the time, man. He's got real incredible dedication for what he does. Also, I wanted to share with everybody, for those of you who don't know, tonight at 9:00 Central Standard Time, Kindred Spirits is going to be on, and it's a special show that Dave Schrader of the Halser Files is going to be hosting, and it's Kindred Spirits Back from the Dead. It's on the Travel Channel. It's tonight at 9 Central, 10 Eastern, and it would be really, really cool if you guys could tune into that, and you can see some other really interesting stuff that Kindred Spirits does. Amy, Adam, and Chip. It's a really cool show. It's an uplifting show, and they really help people. what else did you say that you have anything? What?
Oh, coming up, well, the Gaia thing. So join my newsletter and you'll get
Okay.
an announcement to release that. Also, you guys join me on my YouTube channel, Karen A. Dahlman. I have 215 videos now, not just about what I do with the board, but also I have guests on who talk about their own way to navigate the unseen dimensions. So that's all we talk about, with extraterrestrial, cryptids, spirit communication, channeling, tarot cards, what I do, the board work, channeling, everything, or just to attach or develop more of your spirituality is really what it's about. So come there and join me, Karen A. Dahlman, on YouTube.
One last question. Where can we learn more about history of the boards?
Well, the portal, here we go, to that would be TBHS.
The portal to hell? What?
Yeah. Well, the portal to what you want to call it, whatever it is you might decide to call it. I would say the portal to interesting information and history. So it's tbhs.org. And there you're going to find Robert Murch's website, which is williamfold.com. You're also going to find Gene Orlando's website, which is the talking board, Museum of Talking Boards.com. But by the way, go there if you want to learn the most about anything with spirit, talking boards, everything, Museum of Talking Boards.com. Go to my website, KarenADalman.com. I have all these free articles, blogs I write, all about these questions you had today, and then some about how to use this tool. So check it out.
I cannot thank you enough for coming on here and sharing your knowledge with us. I actually learned a couple of things. I actually learned some questions from the folks or the comment section. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And I hope I'm going to get to see you in person soon.
You are, and we're going to be at Sage Paracon in Virginia together in May. So I'll see you at least by then, if not before, at some other event. And I want to say thank you, everybody in the audience. I know a lot of you personally and met you. And I just want to say thank you for the chat and the great the questions and conversations going on. I know we couldn't get to them all. I have no ability to type. Unfortunately, Greg didn't give me that.
Nope.
Doesn't come with the program, but I'll look through it later, maybe answer some questions, or by all means, reach out to me. I will answer your questions wherever. I always answer all my questions. This gives me some time. But Greg, thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And this is going to be posted on Facebook, and it'll also be posted on my YouTube channel, The Paranormal Detective Greg Lawson. So for both Karen and I, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for your comments. And I hope to see everybody soon in the paranormal world somewhere. See you later.